talking about SNL, the history, the mysteries, and all the hot impressions in between, breaking down all the numbers as well. In your favorite sketches with special guests, it's on the Saturday Night Network.
Yes, that is right. Welcome everybody on in to the Saturday Night Network for another edition of our Hot Take Show, coming to you live immediately following the Quinta Brunson and Benson Boone episode of Saturday Night Live, the first episode in May. My name is Jon Schneider from the SNN. So excited to be here with you on this Saturday night as a presentation of LateNighter.com with some amazing guests and a great chat here to head towards the finish line of season 50. So excited to talk about everything we saw here tonight. And first up, let's bring in the great Amanda Barkin is here. Amanda, how are you?
I'm good, John. I'm wearing a slutty top from Forever 31 in black, so a little bit off black. So happy to be here. Glad I dressed for the occasion.
I'm glad you're here to talk about that sketch because I feel like Bill and I would not do a great job without you here to talk about that one. So Amanda, appreciate you being here, of course, and looking forward to breaking this one down. And the legendary Bill Kenney is here as well. Bill, how are you?
John, I'm great. I'm so happy to be here with you and Amanda, here with all the chat babies. Just so psyched to get into this episode. I cannot believe it feels like just yesterday that we were starting season 50, and here we are 3 weeks out. Going to be a fun one to talk about.
Yes. And Bill, let me say, to be the first one to say, may the 4th be with you as we are here on this, just heading into Sunday. So excited, Bill, to talk about this episode. You told me in the pre-show, which I did not know, that this is your first time on with Amanda Barkin. And as the two of you have been on with us for a few years now, it's so exciting to get this new pairing together. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun talking through everything we saw here with Quinta Brunson returning for her second time as host, the first time we get to see Benson Boone on the show. So a lot of fun things happened here tonight. Amanda, how do you feel like she did in her second time hosting the show? Do you have any hot takes or headlines from season 50, episode 18?
I feel like Quinta Brunson should have been on the show and in another lifetime would have easily been an excellent SNL cast member. My hot take is I still don't know how I feel about Benson Boone, and I don't understand why it's so hard to decipher how I feel about the man, and that is how I'm feeling in this moment. But yeah, Quinta truly couldn't. You couldn't. I don't know. She's already like an all-time great host to me. I think that she will host for years to come, and her sophomore appearance definitely solidified that for me personally.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think she's just one of those people that we're going to see many, many times on SNL, and is really important to have her a part of the show. Bill, how do you feel about tonight's show? Any hot takes or headlines from you?
Yeah, I was thinking about it earlier this week because remember when we did the Brooklyn Nine-Nine finale season, John, and one of the few predictions I've ever gotten wrong ever was that would be the last great network sitcom, and Quinta took that on herself and made network TV bearable again. And Abbott Elementary is such a fantastic show. And yes, I definitely could see her having been part of this cast at some point. She is on the fast track to 5-timers. I mean, I feel like we've said that a lot this year with 2-time, 3-time hosts, even the 4-time hosts that we got over the last few weeks. But she did a phenomenal job. Benson, I love, but John, you'll appreciate this. I feel like he's going to Ozzie Smith his way out of this. When he's 40, trying to do those damn flips every 5 minutes, that's going to be hilarious to watch. But I think he's a good singer, and I think he did a good job tonight.
Yeah, we'll see how much she can keep the flips up. It's they're interesting stuff here. We'll get to it and we'll talk about it. Yeah, I'm really excited about Quinta Brunson. I thought her floor is really high, like what we could have got tonight. I expected good. I think we got great from her. I think she's the type of host that really brings out the best in the people around her. Sometimes you have a host like Jack Black comes in last month and just like has this like jaw-dropping performance and energy that he brings and injects into the show. And then you have a host like Quinta, who I think on a more subtle level just truly takes the best qualities of the cast members around her and brings them out. And that's what I feel is so great, and probably why, if you were to ask all of these cast members years down the road which was their favorite or who was their favorite host to work with, I bet you many would say Quinta Brunson. And I really happy for her. It couldn't happen to a nicer person, someone who loves Saturday Night Live, that she got asked back to the show. I thought it was a really interesting night as well. The structure of the show was interesting to me. They really front loaded the show. I saw that Mike Murray had a great tweet about this, about the recent shows over the last few years that had 8 or 9 segments prior to update. And I felt like they really, really had a huge front of the show. And this was also a really big night for Kenan Thompson. I'm sure we're going to be talking about him a lot throughout the night, but Kenan's a guy who obviously been on the show forever and had years of domination. A couple years ago, he was having nights like this every single episode, and it was just amazing to see somebody who had been on the show for 18, 19, 20 years doing this. The last couple years, he's really tailed off and taken a step back, and he does a night like this maybe once every 6 or 7 episodes. And this was one of those episodes where he took over and showed that he still has the chops to be able to do this. The question is, why doesn't it happen all the time? But regardless, really happy that we had a good Kenan night, if this is the last great Kenan night for the season. All right, let's break down what we saw here in all of our segments tonight. We'll start with our cold open, and it does feel like we've been, going to the Steve Higgins text crawl to start most of these cold opens since the inauguration. So I was a little bit nervous that we were going to get some sort of freeze pain tableau thing again. I was like, no way, they're doing this again. But we get to the Oval Office where we're comparing FDR's first 100 days to Trump's first 100 days. And then we see Trump talking about the new executive orders. We have James playing Trump. We have Mikey Day come in as Stephen Miller, talking about the different laws that they're going to sign, and including bringing back Columbus Day, the Bill Belichick law, stuff about J.K. Rowling, and then Marcelo will come in as Marco Rubio for a brief bit as well. So Amanda, your thoughts on tonight's cold open?
I thought it was fine. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my least favorite. It was quick enough. I didn't think it was particularly inspired. I mean, these executive orders we've been seeing weeks like that with just like mass signings of executive orders pretty much since Trump took office. I didn't think there was anything that special about this week. I laughed really hard about the Hufflepuff when he was like, you just work at Staples. That got a large laugh out of me. And I also feel targeted at.
Said, bitch, you just work at Staples.
Bitch, yeah. I wasn't sure if it was bitch, so I didn't want to say bitch and then be wrong. But yeah, okay, bitch, you just work at Staples. I thought that was funny, just like random kind of.
Lots of use of the word bitch tonight.
A lot of bitch. It's really funny that you can say bitch so freely and then shit is a problem. I meant to look into that with respect to standards this week and I didn't. But it was fine. I thought Mikey was good. It was. I don't have that much more to say. It didn't run that long, so it didn't bother me. I think if it had gone longer, I would have been more frustrated by it. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting because they actually cut this down tremendously from what the dress version was. So in dress, this also featured Andrew Dismukes as a 20-something crypto guy, Ashley Padilla as a sugar baby, and Devin played Shabuzi. So all of that was ripped from this sketch and tightened up for the live show. Bill, how do you think they did with the version we got as canon?
It was okay. I mean, is this the first time we got Stephen Miller? That's bananas if that's the case, because like he was such an ogre hanging over the first Trump administration, and I think Mikey did a good job with that. Like Amanda said, this is just constant all the time. I guess this week with the Columbus Day, I'm surprised they didn't do the Veterans Day thing, which was a huge deal later this week, where he's going to rename it World War I Day or some shit. Like I can't even deal with this guy anymore. But there's some funny jokes here. I mean, Zhazh is great as always. I think the Belichick law really hits hard because I think Trump probably admires the fact that he can still get a 24-year-old and Trump can't. And Marcelo, what was his point? Like he comes in, talks about the earrings on Latinos and disappears. Like, I don't know. I'm getting a little tired of these. I wish we'd mix it up a little bit more, but Zhazz, as always, brings it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Marcelo as Marco Rubio, like I did understand that he was there when the whole like a fight and broke down, like with that cold open a couple months ago. So then you want to put him in there, but I feel like they're shoving Marcelo as Marco Rubio into every cold open in 2025, and I think even like if he was on with us right now, he would say like it's not a great impression. Like it's not like there's anything significant to it. So I do get that, they want to make him a star, and he definitely has some star making moments, but I don't know that, forcing him into the cold open despite Marco Rubio being a part of the administration completely makes sense to me. Now, what I will say is the fact that they cut this down and made it much tighter made this probably way better than what we would have saw in dress. I think that the jokes were really, really good here. I love that we actually got the Stephen Miller impression, like you said, Bill. And again, I have to, be careful because I do love when SNL does scenes with their presidents. So for me, this felt more like a scene where we're introducing another character in the world of the story. And now it allows us to have Mikey Day as Stephen Miller pop in for other things later on to mine from. So for me, I don't want to hate on something that I think that they did really well here. So for me, again, probably not going to be super memorable down the road, but there was some nuggets of good, and I'll take that from this Trump cold open. Let's move on to the monologue, where Quinta is going to come out and talk about how she had to come back because she forgot her charger. And the first night that she hosted SNL was one of the best nights of her life. Talks about being a college dropout and getting an honorary degree, and that her brief bit as a phone sex hotline operator. Is that true? Does anybody know? Is that a real story? Was that okay? Well, if somebody knows, that's I never heard that one before. But she ends up talking about how being a shorty and how she wants to know that other shorties to know that sky's the limit. So we're going to get a couple of shorties come on in, including Sabrina Carpenter, who in the last calendar year has been all over Saturday Night Live. So when will she host the show? That's something that I think we could envision down the road. We're going to get Marcelo Hernandez. So of course you want to get that shot of Marcelo and Sabrina on screen together. And then in comes Dwayne Wade as well, to make a joke about being short for the NBA. Super random, but I will say my favorite basketball player of all time. So I will not complain about having Dwayne Wade on the screen. Bill, what do you think of the monologue?
I instantly thought of you, John, knowing what a big Heat fan you are. I cannot remember the most random cameo we've gotten before this. Probably that YouTuber that we got in the fall. I can't think of her name. But
Trisha Paytas.
There you go. So yeah, this was completely random. I mean, is he just hanging around New York City and they get him on the phone, like, or did they put out a bat signal for anybody, NBA player who possibly could come in that wasn't in the playoffs tonight? But I do like that. I mean, and he's always been a big personality. I think he's well known outside of the NBA world, so I think that kind of makes sense to have somebody like him come in. And the Sabrina, I mean, that was great. I love, they are almost exactly the same height. It's crazy how close they are in height, her and Quinta. So, and then of course, Marcelo was fantastic. So yeah, I like this a lot. I'm glad we didn't get another Domingo though.
Yeah, I wonder if she's maybe friends with Dwayne and Gabrielle Union or something, and then maybe they were there to watch her, support her at the show, and then it's like, hey, Dwayne, like this would be fun to get you in this. So that's how that happens sometimes. Amanda, what do you think of the monologue?
As I guess I'm 5'2". Does that make me tall for that group? I don't know. Because Quinta was searching 4'11", and Sabrina, I guess, is 2. I mean, Sabrina's always wearing like huge heels, so that makes sense. I loved it. At first, I didn't really realize right away that it was going to delve into a musical, but I thought it was endearing immediately. I love Quinta. I think that I'm went in a little bit biased. I just listened to her episode on Amy Poehler's podcast, and I think that she's just awesome. And I think that was coming through in the monologue. And then I think that Dwayne Wade did a really good job. Like, not only like random or not, I feel like he actually like, I don't know, that struck me like during their interaction, that I thought that he really killed it. So I was pretty impressed, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't get many basketball players on the show. Like, it's been a while. I mean, LeBron hosted very famously. obviously there's been more with, Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan and Bill Russell back in the day, but it's just like with the NBA season and their schedule, it's hard to get a basketball player. So getting a retired basketball player on the show, I think, is cool for sports fans. So for me, it made me happy to see him. And I just thought this was a really solid way to start the show. Quinta's always game. So I thought this was very, very fun. Next up, we're going to go back to Will and Todd's Radical Experience, sort of a Bill and Ted parody, where we're going to get Marcelo and Andrew playing them. And then we're going to meet people from the past. So we have Chloe Fineman as Queen Elizabeth. Mikey's playing Leonardo da Vinci. We get Emil as Julius Caesar. And then we find out that Keenan and Quinta are Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. And, they're all there to visit the 80s. And they're going to go back in the time machine, except Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman say, we're not going back. And the back and forth between Marcelo and Andrew, who are playing these sort of stoner bros from the 80s, trying to convince them to go back and saying, there's stuff here that's not so great. There's discrimination and inequality as well, and lots of not going to happen. Eventually, they go over to Devin Walker, who is, I guess, a student on campus, asking if he has a job, and they say yes, he does. So they're going to stay, and they shut the door and send everybody back in time. A lot of really, really fun stuff here between Keenan and Quinta and the beginning of the pairing that we're going to get throughout the night many times over. Amanda, what did you think of this one?
I thought that so many people were so excellent in this sketch. I don't know if it was like a lot of laugh out loud moments for me, but I really loved it, and I liked the tone of it, and I liked kind of the group. I guess I think was like not necessarily a group that you always see. It wasn't small, or it wasn't a parade sketch, but I liked it. I thought that Andrew Dismukes was so good in this sketch. I don't know what it was that did it for me. Like his like little like Dazed and Confused meets like Schoolhouse Rock kind of vibe, I thought was hysterical and not something that we always see from him. And this is the sketch that I first started to feel like Emil reminds me of Andrew from 3 seasons ago. And that kind of carried through a little bit for the rest of the night. I don't know how to describe it yet. I'm going to work on it as we continue to talk, but that was the first time I thought of that. So yeah.
That's interesting. I guess I could see that a little bit. I mean, I think that Emil was a more naturally born utility player. Like he comes in with those skills that he could sort of adapt to any sketch. And I think that it took Andrew longer to be able to, I guess, remove his distinct voice in a sketch to be able to work with other people's sketches. But I could see the comparison a little bit. I thought what was interesting with Andrew in this sketch was Bill. He had one of the craziest accents I've ever heard. Like, go back and listen to this. Like,
Can you do it?
I don't think I do it. I think I'm gonna butcher it worse than he did. But I love Andrew and I support him all the time. But it was the broing accent did not play well for me with him. But this was still a really, really great concept. A lot of fun writing here, Bill. What did you think of it?
Yeah, it felt like he was trying to go for Spicoli in Fast Times, which is the wrong 80s movie. But yeah, this is interesting. I'm always up for a random, movie from 35 years ago. I'm always in the weeds with things like, why isn't it called Bill and Ted's? Like sometimes they do actually call it the movie name. Sometimes they don't. Obviously, there's copyright issues and things like that. But this was a dead spot on of that original movie down to the phone booth. Marcelo almost calling, and I almost just did it. Leonardo da Vinci, DiCaprio, and catching himself. And we could have gone off the rails right there because Mikey's about to bust out. But yeah, this was pretty good. I think there wasn't a lot here after the initial concept, so there wasn't a lot of escalation after we realized that Keenan and Quinta weren't getting in that phone booth, and you knew where it was going to end, that they were going to shove everybody in and not go back. But love the CGI too, so getting the phone booth disappearing with all the bells and whistles was a lot of fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I really love this. I do think as far as like Marcelo, I feel like I could see what they were going for. Andrew definitely like aesthetically, but as far as like missing out on the dumb bro type that I've been clamoring for SNL to sort of have on their cast. Like, it sort of feels like this would have been a very like Beck Benedy role if he could have been in this one. That would have been really exciting. But I think, I just want to point out again, the Kenan and Quinta relationship and their work together, because they are going to be in a lot of sketches and paired together throughout this episode. But it does feel like the characters that they're playing are all distinct enough, because Kenan is as talented to morph into the different characters, and Quinta's obviously fantastic as well, that it works. But I felt like the indignation that they had, where they would not budge, and when they realized what the future would hold for them, made this sketch so much stronger for me, because it could have been one of those things where you're watching this develop and you're questioning and wondering, like, okay, well, should we go back? Like, is it worth it? And they were just like not into it from the start. And I think that sort of like belly laugh you get when you first realize they're like, nope. I think that really just hits you well with this sketch. So I thought this was a great one to do, and it was a really good one to start the night. Interesting tweak they made between dress and air is that in dress rehearsal, the original way that they ended this sketch was that everybody went back except Kenan and Quinta came back to the 80s and brought their cousin, who was played by Ego. So basically they were like, they like snuck back and they brought one of their cousins with them. In this version of the sketch that we got that made it to air, basically they, sort of trick Will and Todd back into the time machine, and they shut the door and they're like, we're not going with you. So I think I definitely also prefer, even though, it'd be fun to see Ego in the sketch, I do prefer the version we got here in the air show. So really solid way to start the night. Next up, we're going to see that Quinta and Kenan are playing, elder parents who are talking about their life insurance that they're going to leave for their kids, played by Devin and Ego. And they say that it is called OnlySeniors. And we meet Michael Longfellow, who's shaking their hand, who's introducing them to this new way to make money as the wiser, older retired people that they are. And all they have to do is just do stuff to each other, and the back and forth of realizing that this is just simply OnlyFans. As Kenan explains what they do, we get to see clips of them doing on video. At one point, Kenan turns on her vibrator as she's talking. We also get introduced to the Johnsons, played by Mikey and Heidi. And Bill, in a season where there's been a lot of interesting developments pre SNL 50, post SNL 50, we have to talk about the storyline that I've seen over the last couple months, which is sort of the return of the SNL commercial. Wonder if that has truly been inspired by that package that they put together at the 50th, where they were like, wow, we've done so many commercials for so many years. We kind of went away from this. Now it's back. What did you think of this one and that overall?
Let's not sell ourselves short, John. It was inspired by us here at the SNN, talking about it constantly and saying, why don't they do these anymore? And then right from the Gillis show, we've gotten one almost every week. I like this a lot. I watch a lot of TV Land. I love old sitcoms and things like that. And the senior life insurance commercial plays every 15 minutes. And I thought this was the direction we were going in. Either that or the Sam Waterston with the robots back in the 90s. The robots invasion is coming. I'm sure you remember that one, John. But this was a fun twist. Old Glory, yes. I like this a lot. And I felt like there was good escalation in this with talking about, well, they don't always have to do something. Sometimes they can just do a little dance or, be just butt ball naked. And Ego and Devin being put in their place as their parents are explaining to them what they're doing, like still being respectful of their parents at their age as they explain how they're on OnlyFans for seniors. It was really funny. And Heidi and Mikey were really good in this too.
Yeah, I agree. Amanda, I really love this. I do feel like if I had to pick it apart a little bit, I would say that it could have been tightened up, maybe like a little bit shorter. Once they start getting into like all the places that they're putting the cameras around the house, the sitting on the cake, like all that stuff. Like I do feel like they probably around the writer's room came up with a bunch of jokes, ways to put this in. I would have tightened it just a touch, but I do really love it. What did you think?
My first thought was, wow, is this the first time that they're referencing OnlyFans? And maybe I not only are they going towards commercials, but also like they're like having to grapple with like podcasts and like AI and like these like kind of, I mean, multiple times we've seen show like sketches about podcasts this year, which I feel like we really hadn't seen prior to season 50. So OnlyFans was kind of interesting to me on that level. Like I thought that was really interesting that they took on the fact that this platform exists. I didn't totally understand were they making money that was going into their life insurance policy, or was it going to that? Like, where was the money going? I didn't really understand the the cash flow of it, so that was confusing to me personally. But I liked it. I agree. I thought that some of the beats, like it didn't escalate in a consistent manner. Some of the beats were very similar. But I liked it. And I also really thought it was very funny when they were like saying these absolutely insane things to their kids who were like sitting down to have a serious conversation about their like kind of like end of life planning. And then this delved into this, and then they were still like disciplining them for, you know, giving any kind of attitude. I thought that was very funny. And everyone was really good. I thought Devin was really good in this also. And this was just so quintessential Kenan, which I think now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, we saw a lot of it tonight, but it was such a Kenan character and insane chemistry with Quinta Brunson, like hit it off. But also I don't buy that they're seniors. That's the thing, is like I don't think they really went that hard with the prosthetics or the makeup or anything with this, that I was like, they do not look like seniors. They look like kids that are cosplay. Like I just was like, you're not seniors. Like I don't believe it. And same with Mikey and Heidi. I was like, I know you're like in your like late 30s or like or your 40s. Like you don't look older. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Quinta has a very youthful face. So, and she's like only 35. So it is probably, you know, you do your work with the wig there, I guess. And they didn't go like full old age makeup on her. But I didn't interpret this as that this was their life insurance policy. I interpreted that they're like naive elderly people who got tricked into thinking that this is their life insurance policy, but it's not actually. And I think that, you know, that's the fun of this, is that the kids are like, but guys, but dad, but mom, like this is not real. And I think that that's where the fun, like it is. I think, yeah, there's like two games here, right? Like game number one is what are the things that they're doing, and is it like kind of like, whoa, that old people are doing this. And number two is the kids freaking out that their parents are doing this. And I think that number two part, I think, plays better for me than number one. Let's move on to the 2025 Leadership Summit, where we're going to see Chloe and Emil talking to James, Ashley, Andrew, Quinta, Marcelo, Sarah, and Kenan about how to be a leader and give a compliment sandwich. And we see the different reactions back and forth. So we've seen this style of sketch a few times over the last few seasons. I think notably Kenan had a very large role in this. There was a very interesting back and forth between with Andrew as well. In comes at the end of the sketch the most interesting, fascinating character of the last couple seasons that has been living rent-free in my head, because I don't understand it, only in that SNL just never does anything like this anymore, where Bowen just suddenly pops into the sketch as his Dr. Please character that we saw from that cookie sketch and the airplane sketch back in Nate Bargatze's first episode. Pops in here as well. Just a very fascinating sequence of events here. Amanda, what did you think of the Leadership Summit sketch?
It was kind of to me a repackaged like HR meeting. Like it was lost on me that it was like for leadership rather than like, you know, an HR like anti-sexual harassment presentation, when I guess they were really trying to like teach effective management, but it just turned into like people just doing sexual harassment, but just in the form of a compliment sandwich, or just talking about sandwiches, or just talking about condiments. So I liked it. I don't think it really knew what it wanted to do. And then the Bowen coming in at the end, I really don't know what they were going. He just like apparated in and out and just like asked if it was okay if he could masturbate since he works for himself, and which wasn't really anything to do with a compliment sandwich or like giving feedback or you know, effectively managing your underling. So I didn't really understand that, but I did also really latch on to the Andrew interaction where he said, "What, you're really beautiful," then the constructive criticism, and then can you wear shorter skirts? And Ashley Padilla was just like, yeah, I will. I thought that was really funny. I thought that she was great in that, in a night where we didn't get a lot of Ashley Padilla. That stood out to me. I think that whenever she is on screen, she is pretty memorable, even though I don't remember exactly what the line was. So that was interesting. Overall, the sketch, I didn't hate it. I didn't totally get it, but I felt okay about that fact.
Yeah, it really felt like this sketch wasn't super cohesive. It almost felt like there were multiple sketches happening in this one sketch. And that part you're talking about with Andrew and Ashley, I think was so good. I wrote down like Ashley, I mean, pointing out all of her stuff for the last few weeks has been so much fun to watch in a rookie season. I thought Andrew was just amazing in the sketch. Go back and watch the way he's delivering his lines. Like, unlike what I saw earlier in the Bill and Ted parody, I felt like Andrew was really, really strong in this one. And I think, Bill, the Dr. Please character we're getting from Bowen, this is a weird comparison, but it kind of reminds me of Will Ferrell's Ron character, where he just like popped up in the Good Nights randomly. And we found out through documentaries that this was something that he used to do around the office. So then people just started writing Ron into sketches, even though we never developed the world or backstory of Ron. And I feel like that's what this character is with Dr. Please. There's no rhyme or reason for it, but whenever they want to throw it to him into a sketch, he's there. Anyways, what did you think of this sketch?
Yes, Ron, or I know one of our chat babies, our wonderful people, will be able to help us with this. The other one I think of is the Rich Hall character that he did, where he would wander into situations, and they did this.
Oh, but that was a parody of a real life character, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, but what was the name of that character? Somebody will get it.
Yeah, someone guys in the chat.
That's the only two comparisons that I can think of. But Ron is a very good one too. That he would just pop up in random places. I like this. I think they should have picked a lane. If you're going to do the compliment sandwich, then keep going with that. Find different ways, more outrageous ways to talk about that. To go to the condiment sandwich, and then Robert Latta. Thank you, John. I knew John in the chat would get that. Robert Latta was the Rich Hall character. But yeah, I mean, okay. So compliment sounds like condiment. Okay, that's all right, I guess. But this was kind of all over the place, other than that great ending and a couple of really good lines, like the pieces of Reese for the dessert burrito. I think that made me laugh out loud, but little messy.
Yeah, I'd say that this needed some cleaning up for the through line. All right, so let's go on to a sketch that I'm really excited that we got back. I wasn't sure if they were going to do it because we saw in the first time Quinta hosted the show, the traffic altercation sketch that Mikey and Streeter brought in from their time at the Groundlings, and they bring this in with Quinta to honestly one of my favorite sketches in a very long time. So happy that they did it. So different, the look and feel of it, the way that they were doing the hand motions, everything like that was amazing. And then they decided to bring it back with Marty Short and Melissa McCarthy at the holidays. And it was like, oh, wow, they're really bringing this back. And when I interviewed Quinta Brunson on the red carpet at the 50th, I was like, how do you feel about them doing this sketch without you being there? And of course, Quinta, being super nice and humble, she was just like, oh no, like they can do that without me. It's totally fine. Like I'm so honored that I was a big part of the first sketch, and hopefully one day I'll get to do it again. And damn right, they brought her back in and they did it again. This time she's in a car on the ferry next to Mikey and Chloe. We get a lot of the same beats, going over, you drove over your line. And of course, we're going to get Chloe Fineman, who is really just probably my favorite part of the sketch, doing the whole nuts stuff and the ass stuff later on. Keenan will pop in as Quinta's dad. And then the most surprising part of maybe the entire night, we do get Colin Jost, who appears in this sketch because it is a ferry. And of course, him and Pete famously bought that ferry that is still not in operation status, but he comes in and says, please buy this ferry. I'm Pete Davidson. So, Bill, what did you think of the third iteration of our traffic altercation?
Second sketch in a row where the best part is the last part. Colin was just really great. Unexpected completely. Should have seen it coming with the whole ferry thing. But yeah, this was okay. I mean, a lot of the same beats. I don't know how you kind of top what they did at Christmas with Martin Short, with Melissa McCarthy with her boobs up against the car window and the milkshake, and that was so iconic. But Quinta did such a great job the first time, and I know when you talked to Mikey a couple of years ago, he talked about how great it was to be able to do something like that. So you knew they were going to do this. So I'm not mad at it, but Chloe miming eating ass is I don't know, that's going to stick in my head, I guess, for a while. That was pretty crazy to see. But
Wow.
yeah, I mean, this is good. Mikey recognizing Colin Jost was also fantastic.
Yeah. I will reiterate that this is my favorite thing that Chloe has done in her entire career on the show. And I don't like that. I mean that with like the highest possible compliment, that I just think she is just really meant for and best at a role that isn't necessarily leading the sketch, but can add, sort of like supplementary parts to a sketch. And I think that she does this so well, and she gives it like 110%. So for me, great stuff here. Amanda, did you enjoy this? How did it compare to the first two that we saw?
I enjoyed it. I don't think it was as good as the first two. The second one having, the shock value of Melissa McCarthy. I think that Mikey is really good at it. And like, even if it's not at like funny, hysterical beat by beat, the actual like charades of it is really brilliant. Like, I do think I'll go back and see the way that they decided to act out these phrases. And I just think it's like hysterical as a concept that like they think that this is like an efficient way to communicate, like by like having the person across from them guess what they're acting out in such like obscure roundabout ways. Like, it was just very funny. I think I agree that this is Chloe at her best, and I always wish that they would utilize her this way. Like, she will send it. Like, yeah, she's good at impressions. She's good at like quirky, like female line reads. But like, she is like if you like follow her on TikTok or whatever, like when she's like very down to do crazy things, and like this is what she should be doing. And like, I think she's also very precise at it. Like, I think it was really off the walls, but I think that her ass eating was probably done with a lot of precision in her like acting. So I think that she should be doing more stuff like that. Colin was very fun. My first thought though was, oh, is he wrapping up? Like, is he getting in a sketch because he's got 2 more shows left to do? Unfortunately, that was I could be completely wrong. It could have been purely because they decided to put the cars on a ferry. I don't really understand why there would have been such a parking issue if they were just having the cars on the ferry. Like, that
was weird to me too.
Yeah, like,
it also was weird. Sorry about it. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to say it was also weird because like I've never driven a car onto a ferry, but if it's just the 2 of them on the ferry, can they not like open the window to talk to each other or get out of the car to talk to each other while they're on the ferry boat? Is that not a thing?
In the first version, did they not roll down the windows? Were they not just using the acting as like a second like line of communication? I feel like that I thought that too, but
I figure they were like on the highway, so things were so loud they wouldn't hear each other. Like in the world of the sketch, it was like believable to me.
I believe that you do have to stay in your car if it goes on a ferry. I don't think there's any reason they couldn't roll the window down.
Right. But in the second sketch, the Martin Short one, they're in the parking lot though. Right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that is also true. And I guess you get the moment where Melissa will come out of the car and obviously put her body up against the window. So yeah, it was this was really, really fascinating. Amanda, did you have anything else on it?
Just that Keenan popping in was funny. I mean, I don't think it like necessarily added a lot narratively, but it was like funny to see him pop out and like added a little element of surprise. And then
you were surprised that Keenan was in a sketch with Quinta?
I didn't know. It was like kind of towards the end and he was in the back seat. I was surprised that I was like literally surprised. Conceptually, I'm not surprised. And like once the actual shock, like the actual literal surprise, I'm not surprised in hindsight, but I did not know at the moment. And I don't even remember what he said. Oh yeah, Iraq, right? Someone just said in the chat he was doing Iraq, like, which was actually is really funny.
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, again, like we've broken down, especially if you go back to season 48 in our recap after, we broke down about why this sketch was just as good as it gets. But just as a quick summary of it, I mean, like you don't have to play charades to understand how much fun it is to try and describe something to someone without using your words. And I just think that the way that they do this is a really fun game, especially because everybody who watches this for the first time doesn't know what the next beat of the sketch is going to be. Like now we know the general stuff about how Chloe's going to, do something extremely sexual and Mikey's going to be pissed at her and whatever that, like we know the general beats of the sketch, but as far as the individual lines and the fill in the blanks, it is always really exciting for me to get to see, okay, what are they going to use for over the line? What is he going to use for toxic as he pretends to eat poison? Like, those types of things that we just don't know how he's going to describe the things that he's saying. And obviously Quinta vice versa. So I just think that this is really, really fun. I don't think it's worn out as welcome. And I would watch this time and time again. For me, this goes back to the days of like me falling in love with SNL and wanting to see recurring sketches. I think this is the perfect one that I could see a bunch of times at the show. So really, really thrilled that they brought this one back. And would be curious if we ever did see it again. All right, Amanda, let's talk about Forever 31. So we're going to see the women of SNL. We got Jane, Chloe, Sarah, Heidi, Quinta, Ego, and Ashley no longer shopping at Forever 21, which I think went bankrupt recently, but now shopping at Forever 31, where we're going to see big suits, trench coats, T-shirts, and loose trousers. Marcelo will appear in the sketch as well, dancing at a club, asking to buy Quinta a drink. But for the most part, just describing what it is like to shop as a 31-year-old. So, Amanda, what do you think of this one?
So I did not take it as a going from Forever 21 to Forever 31. I think I don't know what happened to Forever 21, but I feel like we probably stopped shopping there in high school more so. But I thought it was more like you were shopping for festivals because you were going to, what was it, like slutty Coachella like a couple years ago. And now you're 31. And so everything needs to be practical. And, you're probably freezing your eggs right now. So, you're probably bloated and you need oversized stuff. It was like, I'm 31. You're 31 also, John. That's why I mentioned. But I guess you're not a woman who shops for women's clothes. So that's the difference. But it did feel like a lot of it just felt. It is kind of how I dress and it is kind of how I shop. And I wish that there was a Forever 31 equivalent because it would be a hell of a lot cheaper, more affordable way to shop. But I just thought it was like a line where like I don't remember, was it Marcelo or somebody like approached Quinta at a bar and was like, do you want a drink? And she was like, why? It's 10 o'clock. And like that got a good laugh out of me because I feel that in my bones as we sit here at 1:53 a.m., which is, by the way, the latest I stay up in my life is when I'm doing the hot take show. Like there's not a night out that I'm. You. No, but do you agree as a 31-year-old? Like, are you ever out as late as you are up on the hot take show?
I am, but I'm not like partying hard. I'm just like, I also I DJ some events. Work related reasons, but yes, I am a late nighter.
Okay. I'm not a late nighter. I am a early nighter, early morninger. I lost a lap that Chloe's saying that she gets hungover from cheese. It is, I don't know. Maybe this is just, I guess it's not just about me because they are obviously tapping into something if they're parodying it on this scale. But like, there is something about being 31 that makes it like really apparent that you're not in your 20s anymore and your body hurts and what you prioritize in terms of what you're dressing for is different. But again, like, T-shirts are $100, so like make that make sense. I can't because it's not really Forever 21 because they'd be $4.99. But I just thought that was like very specific, and a lot of the cast members are over 31, so I felt like just like personally attacked. And yeah, I thought it was cute. I like when they do, I don't know. I wish that they maybe did a little bit more comparison to the Coachella aspects. I feel like, and Coachella just happened. Like Bowen was at Coachella. Bowen like did the Apple dance for the Charlie XCX sketch, which I'm sure that doesn't mean anything to either of you. But no, I know John doesn't have a ton of Charlie lore, so that's what. And I went to Charlie XCX this week at Barflies and had a really hard time dressing myself for it in comparison to the other girls in their early 20s there. So
you didn't have enough loose trousers.
I had loose trousers, and Charlie XX is like 33 or 34. So, but it's. I feel like I'm like the Cut had an article today about like what does like an aging millennial look like, and I feel like I don't know, I'm having like an identity crisis, and this just really hit. it wasn't as like laugh out loud hysterical, but it was like just observational humor at its finest and a fun way to have the female cast in.
Yeah, I thought this was fun. I mean, they've done a couple things with the women of SNL this season. For me, I mean, I've been dressing the same since I'm 21. So, for me, it is something that's really interesting, at least to get that perspective on. I mean, Bill, for you, is it been just really too long since you've been 31 to remember or relate to the sketch? Or do you feel like you remember that time when you were once 31 many decades ago?
If anybody had 1:56 a.m. as the first old joke, you win the pot. So, John, as a guy, this isn't something that I really relate to. I mean, I have more expensive jeans than I did when I was 21 or 31, but I have nicer jerseys, but I still wear the same shit. I still wear a baseball hat.
Yeah.
So I think this is probably the most unrelatable something has been for me since, maybe mom jeans, but, this it was funny. There was a lot of good, and as Amanda says, like getting the female cast together is always a treat. Getting to see some of these people that you don't get to see in a lot of sketches together was really fun. My favorite line, I think, was used to carry your debit card in your shorts, and now it's in a big giant purse. That really kind of struck me. And my wife is 31, if she's still up and watching, but she used to do that when we'd go to the club. The debit card would go in the front pocket, and now she has a purse the size of Montana. So I mean, these things do happen in real life. But yeah, I did enjoy this.
Yeah, this was definitely a lot of fun. So happy to see everybody get a part in this one. Okay, so we transitioned to a big group of cast members down to only one and then a bit role for somebody else, where we're going to see, so this week they did explain the sketch basically prior to it actually happening. But this week there was a lot of talk online about could 100 men take on a gorilla? And of course, this is like the Roman Empire thing where it's just everyone's just thinking about this and like, how would we do this? But here we got a different version where we get to see, as the sketch is titled, Two Bitches versus a Gorilla, where we're going to see Ego and Quinta from the POV of the gorilla. So very like continental of them, where we're going to be head on as we're watching the two arms of the gorilla, fight them, and they're going to fight with their words as the gorilla throws boo-boo at them, and they go back and forth, and then eventually the gorilla will kill them, even though they aim to even do nothing, as it says on their tombstone. So, Bill, how do you feel like the sketch went for the quote-unquote two bitches versus a gorilla?
This was I think Quinta and Ego are really good here together. But I don't know. This feels like too quick of a trend to jump on and try to make into something. We're not even going to have to get to 2026 to figure out what this is. If you talk about this in June, people are going to be like, what was that about? Like my daughter jumped up when they said the 100 guys versus the gorilla, because she's like seen it on TikTok all week and everything like that. But yeah, I don't know. This was missing something for me, even though there was a lot of good back and forth between Quinta and Ego. It was just kind of missing something for me. It was very strange, especially at this part of the night.
Ooh, I so disagree with you on this. This to me was so much fun. So creative, so different than what we normally get. I'm so surprised, because for you, like I always find that you definitely root on when SNL goes in a different route. So why do you feel like this it just didn't, I guess, like go after your creative juices that you always look for from the show?
Yeah, I mean, the POV was very good, as you said. Great call about the Continental. I mean, that's not something we often get, and again, seeing these two work together, but it felt like they were just kind of riffing, and that didn't really work for me. Like there was no escalation again, like other than the fact that they finally die at the end. A couple of good lines, but I don't know. It just, I don't know what it was. Maybe I'll have to rewatch it if you're telling me that there's something else here. But at this point, I was just kind of like, no, this isn't working for me.
Yeah, and to be fair to the sketch, I don't know that like we are the people who are going to be able to explain this fully, but I will say that I just think that like the idea that the two of them have the chemistry and to be able to basically talk down the gorilla, I think was a really fun concept. Amanda, what did you think of it?
I liked it. I also really liked the POV. I thought that JJ was really funny, and like playing that type of character. I thought when they were telling the gorilla, like, didn't you evolute? Like, shouldn't you be, you like gotta evolute? Like that actually I thought was like a very funny concept and joke. Sometimes I'm very online, I'm very on TikTok, and this really didn't reach me. I had heard people referencing this, but there was no 100-man versus one gorilla discourse on my personal feed. So this was like a little bit confusing to me, and that as a concept, because I feel like I do get, like, I am online, so I was surprising, but I don't know if it's like the Roman Empire thing, that's like a man thing. But I feel like at least with the Roman Empire, like my TikTok was like, ask your boyfriend how often he thinks about the, like it was like that kind of thing. That no one on my TikTok feed told me to ask a man if he thought that he could 100 of him could stand up to a gorilla. So
yeah, it's definitely like a very like bro-y guy thing. Like whenever I go to like a bachelor party or I'm just like hanging out with a bunch of guys, like the hypothetical scenarios of like, yo, could like 100 of us defeat a gorilla? Like,
what's the answer?
I think it's still being debated as we speak. Like scholars all around the world
have scientists like stepped in. Like, how would the men defeat the gorilla? Do they have weapons?
Yeah, I mean that's. I don't think you're allowed weapons. I think that's the whole thing. I think if you have weapons, that's cheating. So it's how would you defeat the gorilla without the weapons? And this has been something that mankind has been thinking about for the last week.
Well, I will just add for color that my hometown in Stamford, Connecticut, is where Travis the chimp, I don't know if either of you know this story, ripped a woman's face off. And then was on Oprah when it was like a whole big national news, but maybe not. I mean, John's not in the country, but Bill has no idea what I'm talking about. But when I was in high school, there was a chimp that lived in my hometown as a pet, and then he turned on his owner and his owner's friend and like ripped all their limbs off. So that was just a chimp. That was not a gorilla. And there were like a lot of cops involved, and nobody stood a chance. And definitely not without weapons. Very sad, actually. I don't know why I'm bringing it up like this.
Yeah, let's maybe turn back to the sketch, because I'm
just saying, I think the gorilla wins. That's all.
Okay, and I think that makes sense. But I think what was really fun about the sketch was they just flipped the concept and talked about, again, I will use quotes here, the two bitches, because I think what was interesting about this from an SNL perspective, and I saw this in chat before. I think it was Deej who said this, who mentioned the two a-holes, the Kristen Wiig and Jason Sudeikis characters, that you could put the two a-holes in different settings and see them just drive everybody nuts around them. And I do think if Quinta was a cast member, I think you could put the two bitches in scenarios basically like all throughout the season, and it would make for a great series of sketches. So I do wonder if we're looking at Quinta the third time to come around, if perhaps we do get these two characters again together. So for me, this was really, really a great sketch, and I can't wait to rewatch that one. Let's talk about Benson Boone, who an interesting opening to his Sorry, I'm Here for Someone Else performance, where Quinta will introduce him. He does a backflip, as you might expect. And then camera stays on him and Quinta for a little bit. We're also going to get his performance of Mystical Magical as well. Amanda, what did you think of Benson Boone's performances tonight?
I thought they were good. I feel like a lot of people he has that one hit that he didn't play. He played instead Mystical. Is that what it's called? Mystical Magical? Is that the title? I
think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. That one just dropped. He'd been teasing it on TikTok for like a long time. So you only heard like the chorus part, and I think that's a brand new song, like a week or so old. I don't know if it's an EP. I think that he's really good. I mean, his Coachella sets were really good, but I feel like he's really polarizing on the internet. He's like an American Idol dropout, which I always think is really interesting, because like I feel like you don't go on American Idol anymore to have a career, because nobody who wins American Idol in the last however many years has a career like on a national scale.
I agree to disagree on that.
Who?
I feel like Gabby Barrett's like pretty huge.
I've never heard of her.
Okay, well, we don't need to debate American Idol.
Is Daughtry still a thing?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, well, you're going very far back, but
that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we got it right the first time. The first time was correct. Then there were subsequent times, but still, I think that it was good. I thought that he was, well, I guess we'll get to an update. I had a feeling he was going to be in a sketch because I feel like that's his personality and like that's kind of what he's trying to do. And I feel like he's like a very online boy. So I don't mean boy in like a pejorative way. He's a very online man. So I would have thought that he'd be in an actual, like a full sketch. But I thought they were good. I mean, he sounds pretty good. Especially for SNL, everything I've seen him in, he sounds good. The flipping is like, I can't tell if it's just like it's annoying now, but like I don't know if that's like the point. I guess it is, and it's also incredibly impressive as somebody who's like having trouble touching their toes these days. But I it was good. I really interesting. He's definitely having a moment. I just haven't, like I said, I haven't like parsed exactly through my thoughts. I haven't listened to his music. I think I probably need to listen to the album probably in full to put something together. I mean, he covered Bohemian Rhapsody at Coachella, which was like actually insane. Like he did a pretty decent job with a Freddie Mercury song. So interesting. But then also I feel like people call him like low budget Imagine Dragons. So I don't really know. It's like very all over the place. What do you guys think?
I love that Timu version of Imagine Dragons. No, I like this. I John, you mentioned that I enjoy something that's off the rails that's not normally done on SNL. Him interacting with Quinta was so good. That goes back to like Buck Henry, Gordon Lightfoot days. Like it was really crazy to see. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The songs are okay. I do enjoy his music, but I'm afraid that shtick is going to wear out really, really quick. If he did one flip, but he did the flip like how many times? It's just really hard to imagine that this is something that continues to be a thing even into his 40s. They
did it in every promo. Did you see that? Like
yes, exactly.
Every cut of the promo. It's like obviously it's like but like he's gonna have to like learn how to do more impressive gymnastics if he's gonna carry it out. Like right, it's exactly. Gonna have to be like a double flip or like whatever. Yeah.
10 years
he's
from
gonna
now,
have to do Gabby Douglas stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, we've lost John, so I guess we'll go into weekend update here, and I mean we get some really interesting stuff here. I enjoy the jokes about Trump, the whole $2 thing. Are you enjoying the oh hell no thing from Colin?
Yeah. I'm enjoying enjoying the hell no thing from Colin. Yes. I feel like that's something I really like an update recently. I don't know if they're like miking them differently or like what, but I feel like you can really almost always hear Che laughing now when Colin's like doing something with a correspondent and Che's not like the interviewer. I feel like you can always hear Che, and I really like that aspect. What was the hell? Oh, it was about the dolls.
It was about the dolls, only getting 2 instead of 30. And this is the bridge too far for Colin that,
right.
Everything
He's
else
with the
Trump
deportations. Yeah.
There better be a second tree with those 28 dolls.
Right. Because that's how many he made tea for. Yeah. Actually, it was really funny. It was a funny through line, and he did keep going back to it.
Yeah, I enjoy this. And you're right. I mean, this has really been, I've said it a bunch of times, like this has been a renaissance season for these guys. So, all the rumors swirling around, you said it earlier with him appearing in a sketch, ScarJo hosting the finale. Like, is this the end? I'm going to be really sad. I know some people are over their stuff and want a fresh take. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but I feel like they've really been on their game this year.
Yeah, it'll be a really hard pill to swallow, and not to say that it's maybe not necessary eventually, but I think that it's really, it's just, I don't like change personally, even though I know it's necessary and a necessary evil, but I don't know. I think it'd be really hard because a lot of people, obviously, I sometimes think it's a cop out when people are like, oh, update's the only good thing about the night. Like, but a lot of people feel that way. So
yeah, I mean, after season 47, 48, when they were kind of phoning it in, you could say, but they've really, if you want them to go out on a high note, this might be the time to go, but I really don't want to see that happen.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Hi, John.
Yes. Hello, John.
I don't know. Yeah, all that American Idol Benson Boone talk just out of here. But I'm not sure. You guys into update right now?
Yeah,
we just started talking about. We haven't talked about correspondence, but
All right. Well, let me just mention, because I heard you guys talking about Colin Jost a little bit. Obviously, that's the big storyline that we're going to be watching over the next couple of weeks as to whether he's headed out and if Che will as well. So 2 weeks from tonight, we may have some more answers. But for now, we did see that segment that you guys mentioned, Oh, Hell No, which is interesting because they workshopped this a little bit tonight, where in dress rehearsal, it actually was called The Hell You Say instead of Oh, Hell No. But they did have that. And I feel like they're going for these like smaller call-in moments where instead of just having him do sort of a Tina Fey style rant where he goes on for a few minutes, he sort of has these like segments with the title card that make this more fun. But, I thought that the guys had a lot of great chemistry tonight. If they are leaving and they are, this is it for these final three, I expect a very loose weekend update next week and the week after as well, which is what I think we got here tonight. But, let's talk about somebody who came on as a correspondent who may have been auditioning for Weekend Update tonight. And that would be Michael Longfellow, who talks about himself getting an ID to go on an airplane and
Not getting an ID.
Well, not getting an ID, sure. The concept of getting the ID. And it just turned like really meta and sort of just broke down where it just who he is, just hanging out at the desk, being Michael Longfellow. Amanda, what did you think of his piece here, his correspondence on Update?
I loved it. I think that if we need new correspondents, then Michael Longfellow better be a front runner. He gives such Norm Macdonald energy to me, but then his own flavor of it. He's really good at it. He's really good straight to camera. He's really deadpan. He's got a specific flavor that I think can only be refined and developed. He always just says, like, I think that he's already got such a chemistry with the audience where he can just say outlandish things like, I will do terrorism, and like, no, and like everyone thinks that's hysterical. Like, that's not something you're going to see.
I'll do a terrorism.
I'll do a terror. I mean, it turns out that it was like hard boiled eggs, but like to show how rich he is. But like, I feel like Longfellow can say whatever he wants and the internet is not going to be mad about it the next day because he's just got that kind of rapport. Like I feel like he kind of has this insulation from like the PC police, which I can't believe I just said that because I don't think that's a real thing. But I don't know. There's something about him. Maybe I just love him, and it's hard to be unbiased about it. But I think that he's just really comfortable at the desk and looking straight to camera and just like going for it and like making the best out of it when it hits, or even better sometimes when it doesn't hit. Like, I feel like that's kind of like, he's kind of like menacing, but like in like a comedic, obviously, way. And I think that it would be really fascinating to see. I think that it'd be important to pick the right partner for him. Like, I don't know if like Jost and Che are so good at bouncing, like being kind of like the sounding board or like bouncing off of whoever they get at the desk, obviously, because they've been there for so long. But yeah, I immediately thought this is an audition, and like there wasn't like a ton of like insane jokes. And even when he is making jokes, like he's not there doing something really specific or a character. He's really riffing on like current events with just his own like kind of dark comedic take, which is I think what he would do at the desk. Be like just joking about how like planes are not that safe right now, or like there was just like today, like someone in New Jersey was like, Newark Airport is not safe. Do not fly in and out of Newark Airport. And like that's like a real thing. And then he just like made like an update bit about it, but it wasn't really a bit. It was more akin to like a regular update topic. So put him in.
Yeah, I think he slides in as such a natural fit, especially because, the anchors that preceded him in the, early 90s, late 90s, like he just fits right in there. It's just that they haven't gone to the Michael Longfellow type well in a long time. So do they have the balls to do it? I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not giving up on Michael Longfellow in sketches because I do think that he could play certain parts. But I just feel like the typical Weekend Update anchor and every now and then appearing in a sketch just feels like the right formula for him. Bill, how do you think he did on Update tonight, if this is potentially the last time we see him before he is an anchor?
Yeah, it felt my first note was very Norm-esque, like just all his, everything that he was doing felt, and he's done that before, but this really felt on point with that. It made me really excited. I'm going to see him in Devon next month, and I think his stand-up is just going to be fantastic to see for a full hour as opposed to the 7 or 8 minutes that we get here. This worked for me a lot. I really enjoyed the lot. I mean, to self-reference yourself that you're only working 12 hours a week because you're not getting that much on this year. Probably that's about as safe as you can be on the show when you're not getting on the show, being able to talk about that. And then all the jokes about the planes, like, after 2 hours, if there's a mechanical delay, let the passengers vote and then decide whether or not the plane lands, upside down or not. This really, really worked for me. And I'm excited for the potential of him possibly being behind that desk if we do lose these guys.
Yeah, just great job, Michael Longfellow. Congrats. Really good stuff here tonight. Then we got Bowen and Sarah coming out as Darlene and Duke, the Applebee's Barflies, talking about the death of the chain restaurant. Benson Boone will also come out as a waiter. So Sarah and Bowen having some fun with each other here on the desk. Bill, what did you think of them?
This is the second time this year that my first career in the restaurant industry has come up. The Friendlies one, and I also worked for Applebee's. And you cannot nail this kind of person who is a barfly at a casual restaurant better than these two did tonight. These are the exact kind of people that you see on a Tuesday at 9 p.m. in an Applebee's or a Chili's or something along that line. So I think. And their chemistry is always so fantastic. Sarah and Bowen are so great together. So to get to see them play different characters than we normally see them play. I know we've seen that commercial for dandruff shampoo a million times with them in it. So getting to see them work together again was really good here. Not a lot of great jokes after the initial until we get Benson coming out with the authentic fajita plates that they brought out there. So I me, John, I love the authenticity.
Yes, and you love your fajitas.
I do.
Yeah. Amanda, what did you think of this correspondence?
I agree that the jokes weren't like as punchy, but I think when you get the two, I was immediately excited to see the two of them. I don't think we see them that often on the show. I mean, we know that they're good friends and like they're always together at the good nights and like backstage, like when we get like behind the scenes stuff. I laughed a lot about Sarah was like, I want my fries wet, and then it listed a whole bunch of other like salad sweet, a whole bunch of other ridiculous things. And also like it's a funny like ongoing bit to have like Bowen like make out with women on the show, like with Ariana, like just like Bowen, just people kissing, Bowen going in for a kiss for the shock value has turned into a thing. He also said a half slur that I won't repeat, but that the audience really picked up on. And then he was like, no, I can say it. Like, I thought that was funny. Like there's been some fun audience interactions on Update recently. Bowen, like including last week, or not last week, but when he did Chen Biao, is that?
Yeah.
When he like wanted to say like these tariffs ain't shit, like referencing I go was like, I think there's been like a lot of fun correspondent audience interaction, and that was kind of one of them, like, but like, kind of an organic thing. Like everyone was just like reacting to him using this slur that he was then saying, no, I can say it, because presumably being like, because I'm gay, even though he was playing someone whose sexual partner was Sarah Sherman, not boyfriend, but sexual partner. I thought it was funny. The Benson Boone was funny. Benson was totally game, which is why I was saying I would have thought he would have been in a sketch or a pre-tape. Like he totally like wants to do it. Like, so he wants to like give it his all in something. So interesting spot to put him at, and he was still wearing a jumpsuit. Or what was he wearing, a waiter outfit? I
think he was wearing a waiter's outfit that said Benson on it. I will say missed opportunity not to have Andrew Dismukes come out with a very hot plate of fajitas from the premiere, the Real Housewives of Santa Fe sketch, just to tie that in, which would have really only been for everybody who's in this chat right now. No one else would have got that. But yeah, I thought it was great. Also, if you listen to, I think Amy Poehler was on Last Culturistas, and they were saying how they just wish that SNL, like at SNL, you could just like swear in sketches, and they think that like their writing would be so much better if they could. So I wouldn't be surprised if that like putting it.
Yes, they were talking about, I forget exactly because they talked about egos, but I forgot what the resolution was. It was
Yes.
just talking about how it's the only network television show that does what it does, so why can't they have like more allotments for shit? And can they say fuck?
Definitely not.
Oh.
Yeah, but it is something that could develop over time. But anyways, it's an interesting thing, and it was interesting also to get Amy's perspective on it as somebody who was on the show in a previous era and talking about that too. So if you ever want to go back to that conversation, cut from the desk tonight was Heidi Gardner as a mom visiting New York City for the first time. So that one we did not get. Maybe we will get that next week. All right, so a very brief post update run that we're going to get here. We're going to get two sketches. So first, let's talk about Narcotics Anonymous, which was Heidi, Keenan, Marcelo, and Mikey with Quinta. And we mostly revolve around Keenan's Marcus character, while everyone else is talking about the narcotics that they are not using anymore, or trying not to use anymore. Keenan is just looking for that cocaine. And we hear him go talk to Mikey Day and try and find his dealer and all of that. So a real, just like I said, Keenan vehicle to just drive a sketch. Keenan hasn't driven many times this season, but for whatever reason, this show brought out like classic Keenan. So Amanda, how do you think he did here with this Narcotics Anonymous sketch?
Oh, he did fantastic. I think that it was like a really honestly good sketch because you knew exactly where it was going pretty quickly, but it was still a really enjoyable ride the whole way. I thought Keenan was great. Everyone else was really good. I don't know why it seems like they've done a lot of like AA meetings type sketches. Or like even like what was it? Ariana Grande was like basically like pushovers, like nice people's anonymous, like that like they've done a lot of like that kind of thing. But I thought it was really good. Odd, kind of like a weird being in the second half of the night because I feel like it wasn't. I don't know. Like it seemed like it could have been anywhere. Like it was tight. It had a clear concept. It was just like driven by Keenan being very funny. And yeah, I don't know if it's like a classic, but I definitely liked it and think that Keenan can anchor a sketch like that and can't really ask for more.
I agree. I don't think this is a classic, but I think that the sketch writing here was really, really well done. I think that this was a really great sketch that I don't know if it used Keenan to his strengths. And when I say that, I don't mean that I don't like him driving a sketch. I just wonder if some of the things that I love most from Keenan, I felt like we're like a little bit off here, but I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I didn't love about it, because I know that there's some in the chat who really did enjoy this. Bill, where do you stand on the Narcotics Anonymous sketch?
I didn't love the premise, but I think Keenan, as everybody's been saying, like getting to see him have a night that we haven't seen from him in a long time, remembering how good he is. Like he's not on the back nine. He is so good at what he does, and when he's given the opportunity or when he wants the opportunity, he can really shine still 22 years in. And I think this is a classic Keenan character. Again, there wasn't a lot to go off of after the initial reveal of, he's definitely still into drugs. He trying to become Mikey's roommate and trying to find out about being a streetwalker and not having a lot of competition from guys. I mean, these are okay lines, but Keenan sells it. It's really not the sketch itself. It's all about what he's able to do in this moment. So I do enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think again, only first watch here, so we'll definitely talk about this one on Monday more. But I wonder if I was missing just a little bit of a breakdown of the character to make me really fall in love with it, just like an extra layer to it of like the desperation. But maybe Keenan does tend to keep things like light and fun when he is driving a sketch, that it's more Keenan to keep it that way. So definitely something that I want to think about more. But I did really think that this, the whole idea of like somebody going to one of these places to find out where everybody else got their drugs is a really good creative concept. I also really enjoyed this final sketch of the night that we got, which was The Greats, where James is introducing a TV segment about boxing. And we get to see two boxers go head to head. Quinta, who's playing Jerry Jackrabbit Tulane, and Devin, who's playing Bo Shannon. Rival boxers. Keenan is also in here as her coach. And we get to see Jane and Dismukes and Longfellow as reporters. And we see the development of Quinta's character, who just constantly thinks that she or he can best Devin's character. And it doesn't go so well as we get to see the development of the concussion. And that, in a way, Bill, sort of reminded me of Keenan's NFL concussion sketch from that Woody Harrelson episode back in season 40, as we get to see he just he comes in halftime to give a speech to the team and cannot communicate in the way that he's supposed to. So this was fun here, and really a good way to use Quinta that was sort of different than what we got the rest of the night. I felt like this was just, if you're going to show the range that she has as a host, this is a great one to add to that resume. So what did you think of the sketch?
Yeah, I didn't think that's where you were going to go. That's a great pull. I was thinking of the Conan sketch when he hosted the ESPN Classic boxing sketch. Yeah, it's along the same lines of, just doesn't know when to stop. I think this was the best moment of the night for Quinta as far as a repertory player, getting to see what she would have been like in an alternate universe where she was on SNL, because she really just kind of melded with the cast in a way that, you couldn't, if you were watching the show and you didn't know who the host was, she would feel like she was just part of the cast. And I think that was really good for her. This really worked for me, going back to it, ending with Devin's character taking him to 15 blocks away in a pillowcase to a mental institution where he lived out his life. It was a really fun button. So I enjoyed this. Great way to end the night.
Yeah, also going to shout out James, who I think as the opener or the person to go, back and forth to, I thought was really great. We've seen some people do this over the years that do this brilliantly. I mean, Keenan's done this really well. Jason Sudeikis has done this. I think he reminded me most of Daryl Hammond, probably. I know Daryl used to do like Jack Perkins and stuff like that when they used to do those biography sketches. I think that when James first started on the show, we sort of saw him as a baby of Dana Carvey and Daryl Hammond. And I think he's moved probably more in the Dana range of things. But this was, the more Daryl that I've seen him in a while. And I think it's so great that you have someone on the cast who could basically, be the person to be the POV of the audience and explain to them what's going on without completely ruining the sketch, but set up the next scene. He is just so good at that. I often call that the quarterback of the sketch, and I think that they should use him more in that role. Amanda, what did you think of the Greats?
I thought that this was probably Quinta's best sketch of the night, which is interesting given the placement. But it made me just really feel like that she elevated it, and probably elevated everything in hindsight, or yeah, definitely did everything that a regular cast member would be able to do with the material. I thought it was great also that James was so good. I think that honestly James is good in every type of role that he fills. Like, he's honestly, there's really never been a role that James Austin Johnson has done that I've been like, oh, that's not really his lane. I actually think he's pretty phenomenal in all different supporting roles in a sketch. So like, he's good at a straight man, he's good at a narrator, he's good as like the problem, he's good at impressions. Like, James is honestly, I feel like underrated is wrong, because on the podcast we rate him so highly, but I feel like probably in like the larger like zeitgeist or like pop culture, to the extent people don't know like JJ's name, they should, based on the types of performances that he's able to give across the board and just how surely reliable he is. Like, I don't think we've ever seen James fumble anything in any capacity.
I totally agree. It's just that they don't use him in the way that you would expect of somebody that is so talented. Like, of course, he's playing the president, so he is front of camera to start every show, and people know how great he is at that impression. But beyond that, I think that maybe, by year number 4, you would expect for somebody so talented to be like constantly all over the show, and he's just not given those opportunities. So it is a little bit weird to me that we haven't reached that point of like him hitting that next level of fame. But again, I totally agree. I think he's just an amazing performer, one of the best talents the show has found in many, many years. And if they're gonna take an example of things we want to see more from James Austin Johnson, I think when you see a sketch like this and you add this to the reel, like when writers come in next year, like new writers, and they're like looking to figure out how to find their voice on the show, knowing that you have somebody in the cast who could quarterback your sketch like this is going to make your life much easier. So I think that this was great stuff. Quinta was really fantastic in this and just cemented how great of a night that she had. So let's rate this night overall from 1 to 10. Chad, I'm going to ask that you put your ratings in there so I can pop them up on screen. And Amanda and Bill, think about what you want to rate tonight's episode as I tell you the 4 sketches that were cut here from the night. So first up, there was an airplane sketch that was very similar, if not the second edition of the airplane sketch we saw from Nate Bargatze's episode back in season 49, where Quinta and Heidi are there talking about their good news, a callback on a plane after the attendant Ego announces a couple on their honeymoon, played by Devin and Chloe. Passengers are James, Keenan, and Bowen on that one. A Please Don't Destroy sketch was cut from the night. It was called The Night Goblin. Wouldn't be surprised if this ends up online. Ben and Quinta are a married couple, as she explains her dreams about the Night Goblin, played by Martin, and his son, played by John. We also have a sketch, Hospital Xbox, where Devin and Ego are siblings visiting their mom, played by Quinta, in the hospital, but she won't stop playing Xbox, and James plays the doctor. And then we have a restaurant singer sketch where Ashley, Heidi, Ego, and Sarah are eating at a restaurant while James and Devin serenade them in a jazzy and kind of creepy way with their life coach, Quinta, and Keenan as the bouncer. That one, to me, certainly intriguing, as we were just talking about James, and to see the pairing of James and Devin together would have been another good one. So wonder if they try and bring that one back as well. So in addition to Heidi being cut from the desk, we got those 4 sketches that we did not see tonight. All right, Amanda, how are you going to rate this one out of 10?
7.2.
Okay, why?
Okay, so I think that my rating system has been a little bit inconsistent this year, that I think that I started rating episodes too high when I meant to rate them lower, and now that I'm trying to like even out my system, 7.2, because I actually don't think there were any like clunkers for me. I don't think anything failed. I don't think, I can't look back. I don't think any of these sketches are going to be my favorite sketches of the season, but I still think that Quinta Brunson will probably be one of my favorite hosts of the season. I'm still reeling from the confusion over Benson Boone, so maybe that's where the 0.2 kind of randomness is coming in. Definitely points for creativity, maybe retracted points for like not a ton of like memorable lines specifically, so much as concepts. I could keep talking, but stop me if you think you get the flavor of where my 7.2 is coming from.
I got
it. I'm
not
sure.
Okay. No, I feel like we got it. That's
okay.
Great.
Okay.
Bill, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 8 out of 10. This is probably the best run we've had of shows since late 48. I think it's been 4 or 5 really, really consistently good shows. I think after SNL 50, they all kind of got an adrenaline rush after the pressure of doing everything that went into that was gone. They could concentrate on the actual season. And we've just seen some really phenomenal work here. And I expect the same out of the last 2 episodes of the season.
Yeah, I completely agree. I even think right before the 50th, we had some solid episodes too. I think I was really like nervous about the way season 50 was going, in 2024 with the election. I didn't feel like everything was as consistent as it should be in this really special anniversary season. But the second half of the year has been really, really solid. Like there are a couple of episodes in there that I think we can all agree like weren't as great as we would have liked them. But beyond that, I think that for the most part, this is a really solid, consistent start to the calendar year. And I think that this episode is probably going to land at a 7.5 for me, because everything was just also really solid. Probably didn't have that moment for me that episodes did recently, like Lady Gaga and Jack Black. But I think that's similar to the Jon Hamm episode that we just had. You had a really good host, you had some pretty good writing, and overall it was just like a really fun night of Saturday Night Live. So for me, the consistency, the flow that they're going on, I feel really good about it. It's almost a little bit of a shame that the season's coming to a close in a way, because I feel like they are, to your point, Bill, they are finding their groove. But for me, this was a really, really fun night, and I expect a very fascinating night next week when Walton Goggins hosts the show, as he comes in next Saturday as a first-time host. So that will be a lot of fun. Really excited for that one. Music from Arcade Fire as well. So of course we'll be back here next Saturday night for the Hot Take Show to talk through all of that. Before we get there, we got more coverage of Quinta Brunson's episode, including our roundtable on Monday night, where we will break down all of the sketches even further and talk about Quinta as an SNL host. We will have our By the Number show on Wednesday to break down all of the screen time and stats from this week of Saturday Night Live. Mike is ready to go. Very excited to talk about this one. We will have our patron sketch breakdown show for you, which will come out on Thursday. So poll will be out during the week for the patrons to vote on the sketch that they want us to talk about even further. And then, of course, Walton Goggins week coming up, and then the finale. So much over here at May. During May, we also have our SNL stories that we just released with John Rudnitsky, in case you missed that since the last episode. So you can go back and check that one out. Amanda, that was a lot of fun to be there with you to talk to John. We had our feedback show as well, a lot of evergreen stuff that we talked about with the state of SNL, in case you missed that show. Working on some more SNL stories, and of course a very fun summer series that Bill and I will be having all summer long as we break down the greatest episodes in SNL history. So very excited for that one. The voting will open up in just a few weeks as we kick all of that off. So a lot of fun stuff happening here at the SNN. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Appreciate you staying up late at the ripe old age of 31. Bill, are you hearing Amanda? Oh, Amanda, we don't hear you. Your mic may have gotten unplugged, but I assume you're saying how much you loved being here tonight and how much you enjoyed the show, and how I'm just the best host in the podcast land. So thank you. I really appreciate all the great compliments. Bill, anything you would like to say to the listeners as we say goodbye tonight?
See, she should have mimed it just like the car incident sketch. Like,
John is toxic.
Thank you for having me, John. This was really fun. So glad to be back. Got a lot going on here that I'll be on. As you said, the summer series is just going to be great. And SNL Hall of Fame is wrapping up its final season, and very special guest Jon Schneider on the show on Monday. So make sure you tune in to hear us wax poetic about Jimmy Fallon.
Yes, that was a lot of fun. I'm really excited to listen to that one back. I hope I did him justice, because it was really fun to talk about Jimmy with you, Bill. So, of course, to never miss anything we have going on here at the SNN, please follow us on social media, any social platform at the SNL Network. We also encourage you to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. We're also working very hard on our Everything You Need to Know About SNL series that we'll be very excited to bring back to you soon. So, cranking out those episodes right now. Our team is working hard, so you'll get those some more over the summer. Really excited about that, and soon we'll be able to announce a premiere date for season 21. So excited about all that. Want to thank our presenting partner for the show here tonight, and that would be our friends over at latenighter.com. Always great to partner with them on everything we do here at the SNN. Thanks to the chat for staying up late with us tonight, and Amanda and Bill for their great takes. On behalf of everyone here at the Saturday Night Network, my name is Jon Schneider, and we will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.